Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas, and I'm very excited about today's show because today we have as our guest someone who you would say has a fusion of mathematics and spirituality in him. He has also been involved with theory of constraints in big way as a maths professor and whatnot. And let me also share someone who co-authored theory of constraints is joining us, and what we are discussing it with him today is relevant for you even if you are looking at it as an individual, or if you are looking at it as someone who is a head of the state. Because what we are talking is creative problem solving and how theory of constraints helps in this direction. We will learn from none other than Umesh Nagarakatte ji. Umesh ji, welcome. Swagat hai aapka.
Sagat.
So let me begin by requesting you to tell us something about theory of constraints, and we will take it from there.
Yes, theory of constraints uh, help me solve problems. We feel that there are issues which are disconnected, and we try to find one solution for each issue. Instead, theory of constraints taught me how the different issues are related, and it helped me to develop a tree where the different issues fell in logically, and then solving the root of that tree, addressing the root of the tree, uh, all the other issues which are dependent on that root got automatically solved once we applied our method to uh, address the root.
So there are multiple areas where we see that we face problems. That let's also look at it from inside out. So there are inner conflicts many times in terms of decision making as to whether this is the right way or that is the right way. And some of our viewers might be in that situation with their particular situation. So if you take any example and try to help us understand how theory of constraint can be applied in the decision making process.
Yeah, for actually it can be applied even in the personal case, like sadhana. We have one goal, that to be beyond the duality of happiness and sorrow, and birth and death, and so on. And it is because of the duality we feel the that there are problems and so on. And uh, if we could uh, attain our real nature, which is actually free, then all those duality problems will be solved. And it helped me in that sense, the area of constraints. It helped me to solve my own problems in terms of communication. For instance, when we blurt out certain things while talking to another, it may hurt that person or somebody else related, and then the consequences are rather bad. In that sense, I know exactly what to say to the person so that he won't feel bad, or none of the people uh, are affected.
So let me sort of share my observation. What you have just mentioned takes us to a bridge where you are connecting the Western mind, which has come up with theory of constraints, to the Eastern philosophy or the sadhana. I think that's a very interesting way of mentioning or bringing to our attention that knowledge can come from anywhere and there is a sense of oneness.
And yes, actually, Abraham, I mean, this Evi, Eli Goldratt, who was writing a book, and he read one of the chapters in the book in a conference, and then each one had to write a feedback, and I wrote him a feedback, and in terms of uh, the philosophical view, and he changed his chapter. He rewrote the chapter, and he told me that it was because of my feedback that he changed the
Absolutely. So
chapter.
let's talk a little bit about this gold rat gentleman, and
Yes,
he has an institute. And theory of constraint is a very important tool in management.
exactly. Theory of constraints is used in supply chain management and so on. Delta Airlines and Toyota and many other industries use theory of constraints to solve their daily problems. Many universities, I told one of the management, executive management student, my nephew, that he should learn theory of constraints. And after he joined the school, I don't want to name the school, after he joined the school, he told me that in all activities, they use theory of constraints. And so he was glad to have started learning it.
So, theory of constraint is a logical way of looking at the problem and working creatively to find a solution. In general, what we hear from many motivational speakers is that be positive, but be positive sometimes takes you to the state of denial. So, in theory of constraint, you are not denying the facts or the
Exactly.
core issues which you have to.
Yes, you have to deal with the issues. That is what is called current reality tree.
Correct.
Current reality, many times, is uh, rather painful, and you are dealing with painful issues and not brushing them away.
So let me look at this theory of constraints or the creative problem solving, not from just individual's point of view, but from social point of view, and then we will also look at it from national point of view. But from social point of view, if there are people who have communication problem, so how will theory of constraint apply there? Because if one person has learned theory of constraint, the other person is totally closed. Still, there is some scope.
Exactly. You don't have to know theory of, I mean, the other person may not know theory of constraints, but if the person relating to the that person with issues knows theory of constraints, then it's really helpful. TOC many times is called theory of constraints, but I put C as communication also. Theory of communications is TOC.
Mhm.
Uh, and in that sense, the person feels free after studying this.
So now, do you need certain technique to develop the mindset which would understand the root of the problem? Because many times we are swayed by our strong likes or dislikes, and we don't see what other person who is looking at it in a detached way would be able to see it. How that
Yes,
works?
what I feel is that theory of constraints, actually, if you look at the picture,
Yes.
you see, of the cover, it's so beautiful because many times, because of our assumptions, we build a wall uh, uh, around us,
Yes.
and that way we don't know, we don't let the sunshine in.
Hmm.
And theory of constraints breaks those walls and let the sunshine in so that you can see the solutions. And they are really pleasant solutions. There is uh, hard work involved, not in terms of worrying or doing negative things, but by bringing people together and working towards a common goal.
Hmm. So now here is a very important thing: how you define the common goal becomes an exercise which involves a lot of communication and multi-layered communication, I must say. And if I bring, without getting into the politics exactly of it, but we are facing a lot of problems which start from one nation to another nation, and then somewhere it touches the whole humanity. So right now we are in the midst of many wars happening, and let me not getting into the political side of it exactly, but Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Donald J. Trump shared wonderful chemistry, and President Trump also mentioned many times he's good friend, etc. But of late, that friendship seems to have gone out of the window. It could be a communication problem. It could be a sense of priority or change perception. Now, if you are to look at it from the point of view of theory of constraints and you were to advise both leaders, or if not you in person, any person who is expert in TOC, how do you see it?
One of the things I feel is that if there is a common goal, if there is a selfish goal, then it's uh, theory of constraints would not work.
I see.
But if there is a common goal at such welfare of all people, regardless of their country, what is necessary? For instance, now International Yoga Day.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, in that, all the countries are involved, regardless
Hmm.
of their political views,
Hmm. Hmm.
whether they are enemies or friends. It doesn't matter.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, with that goal, if we work,
Hmm.
that I said, Sangachadvam,
Hmm.
work together
Hmm. Hmm.
and work with common goal and work with love.
Hmm.
And love everybody needs, whether it is Donald Trump
Hmm.
or
Prime Minister
Modi.
Modi, anybody. Yeah.
Yes. And actually, uh, I recently read that India
Hmm.
has um, population of 56 countries together.
Wow.
So in that sense, he's Narendra Modi's work is harder
Hmm.
than Donald Trump's.
Yeah, and then again the
There are these
president.
diverse views.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then there are this presidential form of government and what we have in India. That
Right.
form of government also makes it different
Exactly.
for the leader to. But in your book, you have chapter two, which also has a very interesting title, that is branch, current reality tree and future reality tree. Now,
Yes.
how would you conceive of the future reality tree? Is it the projection of what you want to happen?
No, for instance, now if you have the issues, then what is the opposite of that?
Hmm.
What for each issue there is an opposite which is acceptable.
Hmm.
It's so using those means write the opposite of what the issue is, and then that makes a list, just like the current issues.
Hmm.
And opposite issues are very pleasant to have, and they also can be connected logically,
Hmm.
and that becomes a step towards progress.
Hmm.
That's called future reality tree.
Hmm.
And future reality tree needs a lot of work. So there are other trees which are built, prerequisite tree and project and so on. So all those trees really fulfill the tree, the future reality tree, make it to bring it into reality. And then those issues which were there would not, opposite of that would be there.
Hmm. So usually we see that people are impulsive. They are guided by their emotions. That also leads to certain outbursts sometimes. And if I bring the reference of Mahabharata, what triggered that war also in one way was the scene where Draupadi laughed at Duryodhan in that palace.
Right.
So, uh,
And he took the revenge.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So now that is a scene which can happen anywhere. When I say that is a scene, meaning somebody will be impulsive, and in the slapstick comedy, we have seen that if somebody slips and there is this banana
Yeah,
peel,
leaf. Yeah.
etc. So,
Banana
yeah, yeah.
skin.
So people, if somebody is falling, people laugh. That is a general,
slapstick comedy.
yeah,
Yeah.
slapstick word. But uh, what I would say is the theory of constraint would only apply if a person is compassionate. If you take joy in somebody's problem, then perhaps this theory of constraint will have no entry. Will it be right to conclude that way?
No, if we understand the goal of that person,
Hmm. Hmm.
see, all people would like to have peace, would like to be successful, would like to be happy. That's the common goal. Actually, all the conflicts have the same similar goal, that I'm successful,
Hmm. Hmm.
or I have completed this
Hmm. Hmm.
project, and so on, or the goal of the project.
Hmm.
If the goal is common, the goal has to be common.
Yes. Yes.
Then there are conflicts, because one would like to go one way and the other person would not like to go the other way. So that's where the conflict starts. And there is a method called cloud
Hmm.
in the theory of constraints, which brings out the assumptions of the person, of both the people, and usually there is one common assumption which is not conflicting,
Hmm.
and hold on to that assumption, and then propose the activities, so the with mutual consent, and then you see the result and the conflict vanishing.
I think that's a beautiful space to be in where both parties agree about the common goal. Even if you do not agree on everything, at least there is something about which, when you look at future, you want that to have those parameters as a part of your collective experience, whether we are talking in the social setting or the national setting. But prior to this, while you were mentioning if one is derived by or guided by selfish goals, then it may not work. So
Yeah,
let
there has to be common goal to resolve a conflict. The conflict happens even internally.
hmm,
There are, one would like to do this and one doesn't like to do that, and so on. But if there is a uh, good enough goal, highest type of goal,
hmm,
then naturally the forces would work together
hmm. Okay, Umesh, let me
and
bring
help each other.
absolutely. So let me bring in another dimension which is becoming a part of our day-to-day experience now with the arrival of artificial intelligence on the scene. It seems like human beings find themselves at a place where they may develop inferiority complex because for certain skill set to develop you needed years of hard work. Now here is just a click, two clicks, and you have
No,
better.
I have used Chat GPT and so on, and I have felt that it can reword in a better fashion, but logic, which is intuitive,
Hmm.
which is original, cannot be artificial.
Right.
And here, using um, the intuition and your learning theory of constraints
Hmm.
would really help. And then, while of course expressing, you can use Chat GPT to make your presentation better.
Hmm.
But as such, I don't find AI to be um,
Completely.
frightening.
I see. I'm happy to hear that. But I wonder when someone came up with theory of constraints, and you also talk about intuitive logic, which I find paradoxical because general mind considers logic devoid of intuition. So when intuition comes, then where is the space for logic?
No, see, even though it's intuition, when you have to do action,
Hmm.
it has to be logical, because otherwise it won't bear any fruit.
Hmm.
The efforts will be scattered.
Mhm.
Here, intuition first brings out the idea,
Mhm.
and then your knowledge
Mhm.
itself aligns it properly, and then the actions you do would be logically done.
Mhm.
So, in a way, it's Icha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, and Kriya Shakti.
Mhm.
Always in all our efforts.
So I'm kind of sort of articulating intuition doesn't mean that you act in illogical fashion.
Right.
In fact, intuition, if correctly you resonate with your intuitive faculty, it will fall in the pattern of the logic automatically. That's what I gather
Yes.
from you. Yeah. So that's beautiful. And moving forward in the context of creativity, uh, management also have a space for creativity, and yet generally we think that those who are creative beings or those who are philosophers, they have very little to do with logic. That is a general conception, but nowadays we see a lot of exceptions to this. But let us go to the core essence, pure definition of creativity in the context of theory of constraints. How do you look
See,
at it?
as such, I don't feel, philosophy as such not logical or anything. Those are intuitive as well as very logical.
Mhm.
If you look at now, you do um, the presentations on each verse of the Gita,
Mhm.
which is very exhilarating,
Mhm.
and you know how logically
Yes,
the
yes.
book has been
Yeah, yeah.
made, and all the books which I've read,
Mm.
whether it is Naneshwari
Mm.
or whether it is Pandakarika
Mm.
or Saundaralari of Shankaracharya, all those books are so logical, even though it's the poetical works, even though it came with intuition. In order to express it coherently, you need logic.
Mm.
In order to communicate, you need logic.
So there are some steps that you suggested in your book coming from theory of constraint for the ongoing improvement, that process of ongoing improvement. If you recollect any of
Yes,
that. Yeah.
actually, once you have the future reality tree, then you develop, uh, um, it's a wish. Its theory of future reality tree
Mm.
is like theory of wishes.
Mm.
I mean, tree of wishes,
Mm.
one step after the other. But if you arrange them logically, then you have what are called prerequisite trees. For one step to another,
Mm.
you have prerequisite trees. And prerequisite trees, in order to bring them into practice, into reality, you need project management.
Mm.
And project management deals with what's the first difficulty, then what is the other difficulty, what is the other difficulty, and you line them up logically, and then you make a project out of it, and step by step you have the goals
Mm.
and your timeline, and you solve the problem. And usually, what happens is that once the problem is solved, people relax. But in order to keep going,
Mm.
you know, inertia should not be. Uh, uh, we have to work on inertia
Mm.
to remove that. I have to. Okay, I'm now satisfied. I'm done with it, and there are no problems. It never happens that way because in an organization or in anybody's life, the problems are always there. So one after another, but you have to keep on using the theory of constraints to solve the problem. That way, it's an ongoing improvement.
Yeah, I think this is a very important point, and there we will probably conclude very soon. When I say very important point, is most of the time when we are working towards solving any problem, we feel that this is the destination, but there is no final destination in terms of problems. I mean, life will bring more new problems.
Exactly.
So that, I mean, having that openness to accept this scenario is it is positive or negative?
No, it is. I mean, otherwise, how can you grow?
Yeah,
You cannot grow unless there is some challenges. There are some challenges,
beautiful.
and uh, as Swami Vivekananda said, this is a uh, gymnasium. The world is a gymnasium to grow.
So as
And
we grow, let me also bring to your attention, my friends, the co-author of the book Theory of Constraints, and you wrote it with Nancy Ole. Uh, he made use of this understanding of theory of constraints in applying for grants, and because these figures help us look at something with more favorable light. So I take this liberty of mentioning that the grants that Umesh wrote, they resulted into maybe to the tune of $4 million.
$4 million,
So this is
and really
the
help the
money.
other
The
students.
money talks actually. That's
Yes,
what I thought. Yeah.
and wherever the theory of constraints has been used,
Hmm.
whether it is um, children's conflict,
Hmm.
whether it is a psychological issue, whether it is industry, whether it is management, whether it is hospital, there are examples of um, sort of innovative solutions
Beautiful.
of theory of constraints, and each of those experts has written a book. So, for instance, for IT people, necessary but not sufficient is the book for IT people can use to uh, improve themselves.
Wonderful. So, Umesh, thank you very much. And I think the openness to face problems and not sit on your laurels and be prepared and ready to creatively solve more new problems. But I wish theory of consent is applied by people who are in position of power in a way that takes the humanity towards the direction where we all attain our common goal of harmony and peace. And on that note, once again, expressing my gratefulness to you for joining us. And I just want to also mention that we should look at limitations also as an opportunity to go beyond limitations. Because as Umesh mentioned, if there are no challenges, then we won't grow. So that challenge is uh, also coming with a gift, and we should unwrap that gift and move on. So, thank
Excellent.
you. Yeah,
I think that was an excellent conclusion.
I appreciate it, sir.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much with lots of good wishes for one and all. This is Ashok. Namaste.